Hi, it's about 975 and welcome to Elite Dangerous on the Legacy version on Xbox. Now, I'm a bit unconventional when it comes to building ships in Elite Dangerous. I don't use any sort of build software, Coriolis or anything like that. I just whack together what I think's going to work, and then I fiddle with it, fettle with it, test it, get killed in it a lot. I usually track, like in this case, I wanted to see how long this ship would survive against a really good PvPer. So I went and found a really good PvPer and shot him in the back while he was fighting one of my wingmates, and then stuck around and see how much damage he would do, how long I could survive, because this is a 4 prismatic with a 5 bank on an FDL. I'm trying to build a lightweight, faster FDL. For some reason I failed miserably because it doesn't go fast enough. I need to get more speed out of it. But I wanted to check if it's viable and down the route that I want to go. 3 multi-cannon, 2 rail, and this was just also a little bit of practice in the rail guns. You know, I've recently got a couple of tips on using rail guns that I didn't try out in this fight, but I need to. One of the things is rail guns have a slight gimbaling effect, and apparently if you target modules, you'll get more assistance from the gimbaling effect. If you target a module that's pretty central to the ship, it'll help. Also, I really need to start using the night vision settings and that because that makes it easier to aim with railguns. It makes it easier to aim with fixed weapons in general. But you know, I just feel that's a little bit try-hardy, and I don't really like the night vision mode. But you know, it would help out. As to the other weapons, this is a max capacity corrosive multi-cannon, a emissive efficient multi-cannon, and I think an overcharged. I want to say overcharged with the thing that gives you 3% more damage, I think. Huge multi-cannon, but you know, as far as it could, for all I know, be efficient. Because like I say, I'm terrible with shipbuilding. One of the things is I recycle a lot of parts from failed experiments, and yeah, some of those parts are the reason why those experiments failed. But like I thought it would be a nice little bit of practice because I haven't used railguns in a while. I was just trying to get that timing down. I'm also worried about like being super like accurate or like, you know, but just wanted to have a little nibble at Super Blaze and see if I could get through his banks, because this thing only has 1,500 shields with a decent sized bank, and I fully well know that Super Blaze is not going to let me bank happily and easily. So I expect some of those banks will be cancelled. That's the norm when you're fighting him anyway. But like I say, the reason I don't like using third-party tools and software is because you just wouldn't build stupid stuff. Like, you'd only ever build like optimum or amazing or really good stuff. So you wouldn't end up with a Cobra Mark IV with fixed missiles, which is one of my most fun and stupid builds I've ever done. I absolutely adore that pirate ship. It's so much fun. It's so awesome. But it's useless. I mean, it has a beam laser, which is a good thing. Thermal bent beam is never a bad weapon. But then got fixed AX, the fixed missiles, the advanced missile rack ones, because they come with higher capacity ammo. Then it's got a max capacity enzyme missile, which does nothing until the shields come down other than scare the person with the audible effects. In fact, this ship is just purely designed to be really stupid and hit you with multiple different effects. It's got an emissive missile, a missile that heats you up, and an FSD disrupt missile. Then it's got the enzyme missile. So you get the full barrage of like, oh my god, my ship's being affected by tons of things. When really it's just being shot at by a really pathetic Cobra Mark IV. But nobody using third-party software, like no one on Coriolis has sat there and gone, you know what, fixed missiles on a Cobra, that'll work. But if you prat around in this game, you do come up with some things that actually do work, and they're fun. And I would rather my ship builds be fun and reasonably useless than boring and conventional. You know, I always love the fact that I get tons of stick because I don't use fixed weapons, or are known as the gimbaled scrub, and I call myself the gimbaled scrub for good reason. I am a gimbaled scrub. but you'd be surprised at how many of my ships have elements of fixed weapons or fixed weaponry on them, because I love a fixed missile. I really do. You know, and I've got ships with all plasmax, I've got ships with all missiles, but yeah, my main two frontline combat ships I'm well known for are my Beam de Lance, which is all gimbal beams and multi-cannons, and my Frag Ramba, which does have one fixed weapon, but pretty much it's known as a, you know, it's a frag ship. Fixed frags or gimbal frags, it really doesn't make any difference at the range I'm shooting them. But ultimately, I'm known as the gimbal squad for a good reason, because most of my frontline combat ships, I mean, they're my main two. Then I've got a phasing Mamba, which is, when someone took the mick out of me saying it was all gimbaled, I was like, I couldn't resist going, well, it's not really, because, you know, 2/5 of the weaponry are turreted, which is even worse. But yeah, I don't build ships with anything other in mind than, like, will they be fun or silly or, you know, a good laugh. I sometimes fettle and do weird and wonderful things like super lightweight builds or super heavyweight builds. I like the extremes, I like the silliness. One thing I do like about my Cobra Mark IV is it keeps people interested in the fight, especially when I'm ramming people and stuff, because, you know, they think they've got a really good chance of killing me, so they're more likely to stick around, and legitimately they do have a really good chance of killing me. But in this case, this was a blue hair that bit the dust, but fair play, Commander. Yep, it was a, you know, yeah, nasty way to go, being swamped by small idiotic builds like we've used. But yeah, fair play to him. Though I was getting mauled by the police in this thing, and yeah, just got out of there barely alive. But that's why I love a fun, silly pirate ship, because it's fun and it's silly and it's stupid. You know, people who use the optimal stuff, fair play to you. You know, not my style, not my thing. I like to build weird and wonderful ships, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they work way too well, and I'm amazed. Other times, I build something that, like this, it's not the best, but against the right opponent and the right circumstances, it could be really useful with its double chaff, its lightweight, maneuverable nature, and I've got to say, it stood up better than I expected, considering I didn't spend any time really camping pips to shields. So yeah, sometimes my fettling and weirdness does actually, you know, produce a ship that's not too bad. You know, sometimes it produces ships that are absolutely awful, and that's fine, because it's always fun. I love messing around with ships and then trying to find out if they're any good. This is usually a method of trial and error where I shoot at the best PvPer around I can find and time how long it takes me to kill him to kill me. Because if I can last this long against one of the best PvPers on Xbox, I will last very satisfactorily well against most commanders on this game. Oddly, as Modern Heracles always used to point out, if you want to find someone that's good at PvP, go to the people who do PvP all the time. They're going to be the ones that are really good at it. And it definitely is the case. I mean, I'm a pirate, I have fun, I do silly stuff. I'm not particularly great at PvP. I don't spend enough time doing it, I don't spend enough time practicing it. I can hold my own with most commanders, but you know, the top end guys are going to slaughter me all day long, and that's fine. I mean, you know, I'm an old man. My reflexes are pretty dead. My piloting skills non-existent. The fact that I can still survive a decent amount of time when I don't get speedrun by these kids is good enough for me. You know, it is all about setting goals for yourself, and as I've said in many videos, my goals isn't to be the best PvPer on the game, my goals isn't even to be a great PvPer or a good PvPer. My goals is to not get speedrun. That's basically it. You know, most of the time I live up to that goal. I've been speedrun a few times in this game, it's got to be said. Normally in a pirate ship against a PvP ship, but you know, speedruns being a speedrun, it happens. You know, sometimes you get caught out and hit with something you weren't expecting. Usually torpedoes in my case. That's usually my torpedoes and mines are like my kryptonite. But all in all, sometimes it's just about having a bit of fun and attacking someone who's definitely going to kill you and is much better than you. But thanks to Blaze for helping me out. I couldn't, you know, work out if this ship was going to be viable or not, or useful. It's a sort of all-purpose getting around the place FDL. It's got a decent jump range, it's lightweight, it's fast, it's got decent weaponry on it, it's got 2 sets of chaff, you know, so it's definitely not for fighting against people that are hardcore fixed weapons guys that are amazing like Blaze, but you know, it's a good test for it. And yeah, I set my goals very strictly. If in this testing I got through most of Blaze's banks, I'd be happy. That's, you know, I'm not going to do a lot in this ship. It doesn't take rams well, which means it's not, you know, it's not my normal mindset when I'm fighting. I have to very much avoid the ram, which is something I'm never keen on doing. Now, if you are a hardcore PvPer, I would recommend using Coriolis. It's one of the reasons why I don't do ship build videos, because I don't even know what's on half my ships half the time. I built them so long ago. Some of my more efficient, more deadly ships, other people gave me builds for, and you know, if in doubt, I asked Scrub Killer. But anyway, that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. GG Blaze, and nice bit of testing.